Tonight in Money Power Politics, it is the 15th anniversary of the Citizens United Supreme Court ruling. The decision allowed corporations, special interest groups, and eventually wealthy individuals to spend unlimited amounts of dough on elections. And that is exactly what happened. In the 2008 election cycle, outside spending was just over $500 million. Then we got Citizens United in 2010, and by the next presidential cycle in 2012, that amount more than doubled to $1.3 billion. In 2016, it reached $1.7 billion, and in 2020, it doubled again. The last election, as of the latest figures, outside spending sits at nearly $4.5 billion. From 2008 to 2024, from before Citizens United to today. That is a nearly 680% increase in spending by corporations and outside groups and individuals. With that much money sloshing around and getting both Republicans and Democratic lawmakers elected, it is no wonder so many voters feel like their elected officials are not working for them, but for big business and the super wealthy. Well, my friend David Gura joins me now. He's a correspondent for Bloomberg and host of the Big Take podcast. And Barry Ritholtz, co-founder, chairman, and chief investment officer of Ritholtz Wealth Management. Okay, David, these power players, these major companies are giving record amounts of money for a reason. Where are we going to see the biggest impact? Because most voters don't even realize it's happening.
They don't realize it, but I think you're hitting on something important, which is I think there is a general distaste for how much money is in politics today. And I think what we couldn't have foreseen in 2008 is how widespread this is going to be. And you look at what happened in this last cycle, and we've commented a lot on there's Elon Musk doing this or that. He essentially financed and built a separate campaign apparatus for the Republican Party during this last campaign. He was the one financing, bankrolling all the voter outreach in Pennsylvania. That is something I think none of us could have imagined back in 2008. Yes, it was kind of a watershed moment when the Supreme Court said this. It had to do with the documentary about Hillary Clinton, et cetera, et cetera. But it has fundamentally reoriented the way that political parties work in this country today. And as you're right to point out, it's happening with Democrats and Republicans as well. But by and large, the most impact has been on the right side of this.
Do voters not realize or not care? Because at this point, they feel like all politicians are just on the take.
Yeah, that's, corporations are people, money is speech, and one man, one vote, who really needs that? I don't think voters understand the degree that their entire democracy has been put up for auction.
But they do know that government doesn't work for them anymore.
I think that's the general consensus. The attitude that we see amongst a lot of voters, just burn it all down, is sort of a response to that. But they don't understand why it doesn't work for them. If they had an idea that their congressmen have been auctioned off, their senators are for sale, and policy goes to the highest bidders, if they really understood that, they would be a whole lot more upset. There would be more torches and pitchforks than there are today.
David just mentioned Elon Musk. Lo and behold, today, space stocks went through the roof. And that is one day after Donald Trump said on his inauguration day that we would go to Mars. Let's be clear. Voters did not elect Donald Trump so we could colonize Mars. But going to Mars has been a passion, a focus, a dream of Elon Musk for years. So should we assume that that's finally going to come to fruition on the U.S. government's dime?
Let me remind everybody that Elon Musk in 2019 announced the new Cybertruck would be out in less than 2 years. It would cost less than $40,000. And it took 3 times as long and cost 3 times as much.
And looks 3 times as ridiculous as we thought it might.
Absolutely a toy car. But maybe we go to Mars. I don't know how many trillions of dollars it'll cost. Figure 2030, 2040. But I don't imagine we're going to land on Mars during this Trump presidency.
Okay, even if we don't get that, Reuters is reporting that Donald Trump is likely going to get rid of the Space Council after a huge push by SpaceX lobbyists. Just 2 years ago, the council put together a proposal that would have allowed greater government supervision. So is space the next place where we're tearing up the script and saying, let it rip, boys?
That is
That
is a theme of this week and likely will be a theme throughout this administration. That is, we had an effort on the part of the government to put up guardrails when it came to artificial intelligence, when it came to space, to approach these issues, these new technologies smartly, to have an eye out, to be cautious for what might be potentially dangerous in the future, those are going to be diminished. But I think what you're seeing here, and you kind of can wonder about the role that Elon Musk is playing, there are things that this president doesn't care about. We know that. Maybe he cares about them at a very surface level, but if somebody can bend his ear and indicate to him, maybe this is the way that you should be doing something, or it would make a big difference if you were to go this way, that's an incredible amount of power. And for somebody who is so distracted and focused on so many things, having that kind of influence placed upon him, I think is incredibly effective, and we're going to see that going forward.
Yeah, he cared about China as a foreign power, as an enemy, until he realized that TikTok really helped him get elected. Let's talk about something Donald Trump did in terms of executive order. Yesterday, he reversed a Biden executive order that was aimed at lowering Medicare costs for prescription drugs, something that helped millions of people across this country. It included a proposed cap on copays. Donald Trump talked about when he was getting elected, he even talked about it yesterday. I want to lower prices for consumers out there across the board. How does a move like this help the everyday person?
You got me. I'm completely perplexed by this. This kind of reminds me of when he came in 2017, that anything that had Obama's fingerprints on it, whether it helped people or not, just as a matter of spite, he wants to undo this. That's what this feels like. If Biden did it, even if it's helping seniors on a limited budget be able to afford life-saving medicines, I'm going to get rid of it. He trolls us so aggressively. He throws so much dust up in the air, so much dirt up in the air. Mm-hmm. You don't know what to pay attention to. I'm as shocked about this as anything else he's done. Honestly, it doesn't make any sense. Maybe someone can explain it to me, because I'm stunned.
But here's the thing. So if Donald Trump is going to take lots of guardrails off, and the idea of that is there's no rules, it's super pro-business, animal spirits will be alive. Forget the distractions and think about what he's actually going to do, because where the American people are going to check in, where there will be a report card, is on the economy. And to the best of my analysis thus far, the three things he wants to do, which are cut corporate taxes, impose tariffs, and mass deportations, which will deport lots of lower wage workers. Those are three very inflationary moves. How's that helping the U.S. consumer, many of whom voted for him because of inflation?
It's not going to help the U.S. consumer. I think that you're bringing up a very good point, which is that I think 99.9% of every economist you talk to would tell you that these are inflationary policies. And he's choosing not to believe that. He's choosing to believe that growth is going to win the day here and make so it's not an issue going forward here. But, you talk about immigration, you talk about all these policies you want to put in place. We know that they have inflationary effects. We know the effect it's going to have on the labor market. These are things that are going to be deleterious, to say the least, here. And he's choosing to ignore that and to say over and over again it's not going to be the case, kind of in the face of what we know in academic literature and research. I think we've talked about this before. I think there'll be a point at which there's going to be a moment when Americans realize what they've been promised is not coming to pass in the way that he said it was. I don't know when that's going to happen. But this was the fundamental issue of this election, was the health of this economy, was inflation, which was still a nagging issue for voters.
Barry, you are already going to win the segment tonight because your wife's here. But now that David said deleterious in my hour, you absolutely
every week. Yeah.
won it.